it says female star retires, which you wouldn't have seen on the front of the paper 2 or 3 years ago. Just look at this fell on my head earlier. Poetic license. It's got some, this is an old issue of Forty20 magazine, August 2017, so I don't know which number it is. A fish and chip challenge. Remember that? Didn't win that.
I wasn't around for that. Would have done well.
Well,
You wouldn't have won that.
we'll have to redo it.
I'm a prop.
Yeah.
And here we
The
are.
bigger guys didn't win on the night.
It's a good job I'm not a guy then, isn't it?
Women are better at everything, we know this. Women's sport is on the rise. Can League capitalise on the surging profile? Phil Kaplan chats to Lois Forsell. Oh, there's a picture of
Who was
Bradford
playing
Bulls.
for Bradford.
What
Yeah.
happened to them? And sad news.
Awful. Absolutely awful. You know, like if any of the interviews this week, Lois's hand has been forced. It's not a retirement. You know, when you get the wonderful comments that people say enjoy retirement, and then they mean well. It's not something that she's chosen to do, nor really wants to do. She had a really tough decision to make, and I know she's been dwelling on it ever since she had her ACL taken back out again. That, you know, this whole she can have it redone, but it's not so sure it's going to work. And I think Lois prides herself so much on her ability and her skill, and she's by far the best player in England and always will be. I think to find a hooker of her calibre, her knowledge, her vision, you know, will be a real tough act to follow. But she said she never wanted to come back and not be, you know, her biggest fear was not being as good as she used to be. So yeah, a massive loss to the game on the field.
She was your number 9.
Yeah, and always will be. Always will be. Do you know, I played a bit of Stanley, then I moved to Bradford where Lois was. Played my first international game with Lois at 9. Played for Bradford when she was at 9. Played the World Cup, she was at 9. Won the treble with Bradford, the double with Leeds last year, she was at 9. You know, and then although she hasn't played this season, she's still been 9 and she's still had that influence. You know, she's coaching Tasha and Kira, and you'll see her on the sidelines and she'll spot what's next, and she'll say she'll say it out loud what option she'd take, and it's just phenomenal. You know, that to have that ability. I wish I had half of it. I think, you know, just to see the vision. But yeah, an awful sad day for Lois, and I know that she'll be around the game for a lot of years, and she will influence so many hundreds of thousands of women and girls and boys. But yeah, just rubbish. You don't want to wish it on your worst enemy, do you?
Coaching material?
Oh, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. And she's coming on board with I'm not sure in what capacity yet, but she's definitely coming on board with the women's team at Leeds, which will be great. Because she's always putting in 2 pence worth anyway, and everyone respects her, nobody questions why. They just take it. Lois is speaking, and she said something else yesterday, so you try it. That's how it works. And like I say, she's working with Kira and Tash, and she'll always have that knowledge, won't she? So yeah, I know she's going to Brazil with the World Cup committee in December, so it'll be a nice getaway for her, and hopefully she'll just have a big influence, you know, developing the game. And I know that the BBC would be quite happy to have her as a pundit, so there's so many avenues for her to explore.
Sky could have her as well if they didn't feature.
You know, and that's the thing,
game.
like I spoke to BBC the other week, and they're going to have to start looking at the women's game because it's been covered by the BBC. You know, and whilst that's going on, there's going to be men's games going on, so they're going to need a panel of women, or women's experts, so to speak. And who best to head that up but Lois?
95% of my Twitter, I think, is sarcasm and sideways comments about things people need to read into. But of the 5% that is genuinely things I believe. When I tweeted last week about how, when we look back in the future, her trying the Challenge Cup final last year,
yeah,
that will be a moment which will be important, hopefully, for the sport, and they'll go, this was the first one, and now look where we are now. So it's very sad that she's had to retire, but at least she's got moments that people will remember her for.
Yeah, and it's not just those moments. I think she did exactly the same in the grand final for Bradford and Featherstone. The scoreline was not as tight, but I think it was a 40-50 metre break that she made, and the final try of the game. You know, in the World Cup, she, you know, with her position, it's natural for her to set up tries, but set up some really pivotal tries, especially against Papua New Guinea. And there's so many moments of just Lois. I think when we first played, as Leeds Rhinos, we first played Bradford, which was quite a big thing for Lois and myself and Shah and Staves. We played Bradford in the opening game of the season at Odsall, and we tried to push the whole Leeds Bradford clash back. You know, the pressure that she must have been under then, as captain, as 9, as one of the most influential players, playing against her all side, who she created much of the success for. And that went out there, was cool as a cucumber. You know, led us to. She was the reason we won the league last year, without doubt.